In March 1994, a huge truck bomb driven by a man of Middle Eastern appearance crashed into a motorbike taxi driver right here on Chit Lom Road. He continued another 20 metres before he was stopped by another two motorbike taxi drivers. But what happened next? When I did the original video around here a couple of years ago, things were a lot different at my channel. I didn't have that many subscribers, the video didn't get that many views, and since that time a lot of people have been asking me about bits of history, stories, places around here, and it made me think, well, maybe those people didn't see the original video. So I thought it'd be nice to revisit this area, add a few more bits of history, stories, gossip, places, and of course a couple of cats. So please enjoy this updated exploration of Chit Lom and PHLOEN CHIT. Well, if you're not familiar with PHLOEN CHIT Road and you live in Bangkok, then shame on you. You bloody well should be. But if you're just visiting, I suppose I can let you off. But it is a very significant street that bridges the gap between the Siam area and the beginning of Sukhumvit Road. Always been a hell of a lot going on around here. It's been a shopping hub for many decades. I suppose you could say the first major mall around here was the Thai Daimaru department store. And then opposite that, the World Trade Center, which opened in 1985. Significant buildings, Erawan Shrine on the corner in front of the Erawan Hotel, the President Hotel, which later became the Holiday Inn in 1984, and the Amarin Plaza, opened in 1985, designed by renowned architect Rangsan Torsawan, also responsible for the Libor Estate Tower and the Satong Unique Tower, also known as the Ghost Tower. Bit of extra fast food history for you as well. That was where the first McDonald's opened back in 1985. Historically, there are no old shop houses and buildings left over from the 1950s and 60s around here. And these two shots of the beginning of PHLOEN CHIT Road would be impossible to replicate in a modern day setting now, because of course you've got the Skywalk and the BTS Skytrain standing in the way. A lot of refurbishment going on around here at the moment. The President Tower, the Intercontinental Hotel, being refitted once again. It's had a few over the years. And I do vaguely remember back in England watching on the news, when that building was just completed, there was actually a huge fire that killed 2 people and injured over 100. I remember watching that on the BBC. Opposite that, the Amarin Plaza is being rebranded as something called the Dei School Exchange. The Erawan Hotel undergoing a bit of refurbishment as well. Further along, you've got the demolition of the old TOT headquarters. And I think that may well be it, because the old TOT headquarters is the last plot of land remaining. So hopefully, if you live around here, you'll get some peace and quiet in a few years. The demolition of the TOT building has made a lot of noise over the last few weeks. I have pleasant memories of using an internet cafe here about 18 years ago. It had the fastest connection around here. I heard that this site is very, very lucrative, and it's been watched closely by developers for many years now. It's probably the last remaining piece of land around here. This used to be the headquarters of the Telephone Organisation of Thailand, or TOT, which was built here in 1951. But there was a lot of technical equipment installed in various buildings on the site that had to be removed. That could explain why it's taken so long to demolish the whole area. I would imagine it's probably going to be a new retail office complex, which means a lot of construction over the next 2 to 3 years, something the Holiday Inn will not be looking forward to whatsoever. Wireless Road gets its name from a radio mast that was on the corner of Rama 4 and Wireless Road. The Bangkok 1 project is actually being built where that was, and it was called the Saladang Station, one of the first places in Thailand to do radio broadcasts. When Central Chitlom opened in 1973, it was touted as the modern-day shopping experience, the flagship department store. And even walking around there these days, you get the vibe that it's a really classy place to be in, even if you're just popping in the food hall for a packet of sausages. When they were planning the Skytrain station for Chit Lom back in the early 1990s, Central expressed fierce opposition to the location of it and didn't want it in front of their department store. On the other side of the street, the Dei School felt it was an invasion of their privacy, so a compromise was reached where it was placed somewhere in between, and on the side of the school there are no entrances or exits to the station, and inside the station there are big barriers put up so you can't look into the grounds. So in a way it was a victory for the Dei School. On the 11th of March 1994, a truck exiting the Central Chitlom car park turned left into Chitlom Road and collided with a motorbike taxi driver. The truck continued a further 20 metres before it was intercepted by another two motorbike taxi drivers who had seen what had happened. There was an argument and the truck driver offered them green banknotes to pay for the damage. He spoke neither Thai or English. A minute later, the truck driver got out of the cab, said he had to go and make a phone call, and then disappeared into Central Department Store. The truck was impounded at Lumpini police station, and a week later they searched it and found the body of the original driver in the back. They also found enough C4 to destroy 2 city blocks that was apparently intended for the Israeli embassy on Wireless Road. The motorbike taxi driver was hailed a hero for preventing a terrorist attack, and he got enough donations to buy a brand new bike. And it was round about here where the accident happened 31 years ago. 90 people dead, 121 injured, 43 cars went up in the explosion, as well as 38 buildings and shop houses. The fire was raging for over 24 hours. And if you look around here, some of the land and buildings, a lot of it has not been redeveloped. Maybe that's for superstitious reasons. I want to head back to the BTS station at PHLOEN CHIT. We've got two choices of routes. We can go straight up Wireless Road, or we can take a more adventurous route, but part of that way is not very camera friendly, if you know what I'm saying, so it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Anyway, we've got to head that way under the flyover. I think for regular viewers of this channel, you will remember this railway line. This goes all the way to Sukhumvit and past Soi 0, and this is the flyover. So we're going to head along this line. There's a little gap on the right, and it takes us under the flyover to a place where a few things aren't what they seem. You'll see. I'm definitely not going to speculate as to what goes on under there, or what is stored under there, or whatever, or what lives under there, but it is pretty creepy, I must say. And now we come out onto Soi Nai Loei, and we just got to take a left, get to PHLOEN CHIT BTS station. It's a bit of a walk, but back into safety. Well, this area is a bit of a central business district in its own right. There's a lot of foreign embassies, there are a lot of banks, a lot of companies have offices around here, a lot of places to go shopping. But what if you wanted to live around here? Where would you start looking? I've got 3 streets in mind so far. I've walked down Soi Ram Rudee about 500 metres, and I've already seen 3 or 4 houses that have not been occupied for a while. That's obvious, and maybe the owners are waiting for the right price on the land, which I wouldn't blame them. Another thing is, I reckon if you want to rent a place and are looking for somewhere on the more budget side compared to the other streets I'm going to go down, then Soi Ram Rudee may well be a place worth looking at. So if you walk about 100 metres down this soi on the corner, you'll come to the Green Mile, and you'll see the neighbourhood that lives alongside it and underneath it. And this is a place I did a video about a month ago. I explored underneath and around the Green Mile, so I'll leave a link to that video in the description. You know, one thing I do like about the Green Mile is the architecture you get to see on both sides. The old houses, the 1960s buildings. It's a real blast from the past. And right here, there's this building with some really nice 1960s architecture. And that is actually a short-time hotel. Parked at the back of that are a bunch of cars covered over with tarpaulins. Look like they've been there a long time. And my theory is that those cars possibly belong to people who went in used the short-time hotel, and then never came out alive. It's a theory, isn't it? So right, that's enough of the Green Mile. That's enough of old houses, 1960s architecture, short-time hotels and canals. Let's get back to the present day. I'm going to stock up on some vitamins before we take a walk along Saracen Road. We're going to have a quick look at some ultimate luxury around Soi Tonson and Langsuan Road. So if you lived in Langsuan Road or Soi Tonson, you would have the luxury of being very close to Lumpini Park. But the downside is Saracen Road. The traffic is just relentless. But I'm sure the luxury of whatever penthouse or condo you're living in will make up for that. And it'll be soundproof, I'm sure. Well, this street is a lot longer than I thought it would be. Some really nice residences. I'm assuming you can rent them as well, because this is the kind of neighbourhood where people buy for a lot of money. I'm not going to check the rent on the apartments I've seen because they'll be well out of my price range. Also, the back of the Dutch embassy, the back of the American ambassador's residence. He's even got a canal, or is it she, running through their garden. How lucky is that? And then I saw a few old houses that have probably been here since the beginning, maybe 70 years ago. One is a restaurant, the other one has the kind of architecture you would expect in the English countryside, not typically Thai. And then we get back to PHLOEN CHIT Road and the rush hour traffic. Well, here's a bit of interesting history for you. I'm standing outside a place called Noble, and it looks like an RT fashion outlet mall of some kind. I wouldn't know, as I've never been in. But in this spot many years ago used to be a branch of Foodland, as this picture from 1983 shows. Not sure when it closed down, but if you do want to get your fix of pak kapau, chicken, pork, beef or seafood, then the nearest branch is at Sukhumvit Soi 5 in Nana. On the corner down there is what looks like an old-fashioned clay cooking pot. It is in fact the last remaining old land boundary put up by Lert Book, one of the biggest landowners in the area, also known as Lert. Now that plot of land completely behind it was sold to the British consulate in 1922, and if you remember, up until about 15 years ago, the British Embassy actually used to come to the front of PHLOEN CHIT Road. That patch of land was sold in 2006, and the Central Embassy Mall was eventually opened in 2014. The rest of the compound behind it was again sold to Central in 2017. That will be developed into what's called Central Embassy Phase 2. So the statue of Queen Victoria that was once proudly at the gates to the British Embassy in front of PHLOEN CHIT Road has now been relegated to a spot in front of a dirty klong, and it also camouflages pretty much, because unless you look quite closely you're not going to see it. I think the British Club is the obvious place to put that. Do you know what I want to do now? I want to get a view of the development, see how it's getting on the old British Embassy grounds. But do you know what? I really can't be arsed. I'm going to have to go through the Central Embassy, up the escalators, past all those Ponzi shops and through that Ponzi coffee shop just to look over the balcony. But I'm going to have to, aren't I? God, this is painful. I can't stand this place. Not because I can't afford to shop here, and I'm not anti-capitalist. Give me Mega Plaza or Fortune Town every day. I'm in my element in a place like those. The landowner Lert was also well known as an entrepreneur. He used to import a lot of American and European cars into Thailand, and he built the first ever ice factory here, which was between Sukhumvit 5 and 7. When they were renovating the old Check-in 99 club on Sukhumvit, they came across the old cellar and the entrance. And of course, Check-in 99 was also the Copacabana club back in the day. Langsuan Road, always been a hub of high-end, high society lifestyle, relaxation, some flashy penthouses up there, that's for sure. Always been a lot of money around here. And of course, a bit of the old school still left along the pavements. So there we are, Langsuan Road, really nice looking neighbourhood. Would I like to live around here? Yes and no. Yes, because I'm sure there's some really nice apartments in this street. No, because I'm quite particular about the areas I move to. What I mean is, what kind of people am I going to be seeing every day walking up and down these streets when I leave my house? And I like to think that goes both ways. I'm sure they wouldn't want to see the likes of me walking past them every time they pop out for champagne, caviar and a loaf of sourdough. When I did the first video around here, bars, pubs, restaurants, even hotels were closed down. Shopping malls were closed too. The only thing open around here was Central Food Hall, operating at very limited hours. It was utterly depressing, as you know. Since that time, things have changed, and I can now show you a bit of the area after dark. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this remixed and revitalised exploration of Chit Lom and PHLOEN CHIT. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Please like, share and leave a comment as well. If you want to support me and support the channel, you can do so via the Buy Me a Coffee link on the screen. There's also links to Ko-fi and PayPal in the description. That just leaves me to say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you sooner than you think.